But just recently, I read this article in the Portage paper about how things are changing for recycling. And I felt it was really important for you to learn more about this. And what my hope is that you will take this home and share it with your families and anyone else that you can share it with. We want to spread this message because we want to do the best we can to protect our planet. So I've invited Mr. Kaminsky here. He is the Director of Columbia County Solid Waste Management, and he's going to help us learn how we can improve our recycling habits. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about recycling and what's recyclable and what's not recyclable. Out at our facility, Columbia County Recycling Facility, we get a lot of recycling into our facility. We process about 6,000 tons of recycling a year, which is a lot of recycling. But of that 6,000, probably 20 to 25% of it is not recyclable, and it ends up going to the landfill as garbage. So I want to talk a little bit about what should be recycled and really what should not be recycled, because the things are changing. We used to be able to recycle a lot more. We used to we separate the recycling, and we used to get a lot more for the material that we're recycling. But there's been a lot of changes over the years, and we cannot accept a lot of the material we used to take. So I'll start by talking about paper and cardboard. 3 years ago, we used to sell our cardboard for about $160 to $170 a ton. Now we're getting $35 to $40 a ton for that same cardboard. So the markets for that type of material, and for newspaper, we used to get $80 to $90 a ton. Now we're getting $10, $15 a ton. So the values have gone down. So we have to make sure that what we're getting is clean and good recycling material for the people that we're sending the recycling to. So for paper, we take newspaper inserts, magazines, office paper, and cardboard. So your newspaper would be just something like this. Bundle it up put it into a paper bag, and just any kind of office paper, any kind of mail that you get that's junk mail can all go in there. Same thing with cardboard. We're getting a lot more cardboard now than we used to. Anybody got any idea why we're getting so much cardboard now?
People shop online.
Exactly. Very good. Online shopping, Amazon, a lot of the online retailers, and it all comes in a cardboard box. So we used to get about where our total amount of recycling was 15 to 20% cardboard. Now it's closer to 35 to 40% cardboard. There's just a lot more cardboard than we used to get. So correspondingly, we've seen a decrease in the amount of newspaper because people don't get newspapers delivered to their homes like they used to. They read it online on the internet. So there's a lot less newspaper, a lot more cardboard. But it's really important that the material that we get to be clean. And what happens right now is everybody puts all their recycling in the same container, in the same bin. If you live in the village of Ryo in January, we're going to start delivering carts to your homes in the village where you'll get a cart for garbage and a cart for recycling. And all of that recycling is going to go in the same cart, whether it's your paper, your glass, your bottles, everything in the same cart. It makes it easy for the residents, for people like you and your parents, but it makes it very difficult for us to process that type of material because it all gets mixed together. You get glass in the paper, you get glass on your cardboard when it gets crushed, and it makes it a lot more difficult. So what we do is we take all that material that's mixed together, it comes to our facility, and we have people that sort it mostly by hand into the different bins. They pull the cardboard and paper out, they pull the plastic bottles out. We have machines that can tell if it's tin or aluminum, and we separate it that way. But we need it to really be clean, because if the material is dirty, it makes it really difficult. Plastics is the most difficult for people to understand what's recyclable, what's not recyclable when it comes to plastic. Really, all we are taking now is number 1 and number 2 plastic bottles and jugs. A number 1 plastic is like a soda bottle or a water bottle or any kind of bottle that has a logo on it. This is also a number 1, so it would be take a number 1 plastic. Number 2 plastic, there's 2 types of number 2 plastic. There's what's called color, which are your detergent bottles. These are a really good type of plastic. We do get a lot of value for them. And the most valuable type of plastic are milk jugs. Right now, we get $1,000 a ton for milk jugs, which is actually more valuable than aluminum cans right now. So this is the one type of plastic that's really valuable. There are other types of plastic, and you can see a lot of plastics here that aren't recyclable because they have numbers 3 through 7 on them. Or they're like a plastic toy or some of these plastic, they're just not recyclable. We get it and we end up having to throw it in the garbage. 3 through 7 plastics used to be recycled quite a bit, but they all got shipped to China, and China was taking all the 3 through 7 plastics. About 3 years ago, they stopped taking all of our recycling for the most part because it was dirty, and they didn't want all of our dirty recycling anymore, so they said no more. So we started shipping it to other countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, and what happened is they don't have facilities like we do where we can actually clean it and process it. They take out what they think has got a little bit of value to it, and the rest they push into the ocean. And you've heard a lot, I don't know if a lot of you have heard about what's going on with plastic in the oceans, but people are making a big deal that it's all the straws that are causing the problem. It's a lot more than straws. It's the fact that we're shipping a lot of plastic to foreign countries, and they don't know how to manage it correctly. So they take what they can and they dump the rest in the ocean. That's getting to be a big problem for our environment, for everybody. Because now these oceans got to be cleaned up. There's so much plastic in the ocean. So we've stopped even accepting that type of plastic until there's markets for it that we can sell it to inside the United States where we know it's going to get properly recycled. Finally, metal and glass. We take glass bottles and jars, not glass windows or any kind of other glass pieces of glass, just bottles and jars. And we take aluminum cans and tin cans. So we've got some really good examples on the right on this side of what's recyclable and some examples of what's not recyclable on this side. We've got pizza boxes, your plastic toys, some of these stuff. Soda and beer cartons are not recyclable. A big issue that we have, as I mentioned, is contamination. What really is a problem is if you put a plastic jar of mayonnaise or ketchup that's like half full and it's not rinsed out, it gets into our system, and we put it in a baler and it contaminates everything because when it gets pushed together, it gets all over everything. A bottle of Mountain Dew is sticky and it gets everything else sticky. So somebody who recycled correctly and did everything they're supposed to do, rinsed it out and prepared it properly, all of a sudden you get something that contaminates it. We have to get rid of the whole bale or the whole load. So there's a lot of waste that way. People think they're doing the right thing, and all it takes is a couple people who don't prepare it properly, and it can become a big issue. We have to throw it out. I know there's a lot of questions, and I tried to address some of them, but if any of you have questions, I'll answer any questions. Yes? It does. It's a big issue with what's going on in the ocean, and that's what we're trying to get away from, sending that plastic to other countries that don't handle it properly. Yes?
How do we give you the plastic and stuff?
How do you give it to us?
Yeah.
What you want to do is you put it in your recycling cart or bin, or take it to, somebody might have drop-off centers where you take it to the drop-off center. You want to make sure that it's rinsed out, that it's empty. It doesn't have to be perfectly, but rinse it out, make sure it's empty. You can put the cap right back on the bottle and get rid of it that way. You can recycle it. What happens if you don't put the caps back on, it gets into our glass, because the machines we have, the glass falls through these screens, and little pieces of like the bottle caps and hot goods, they'll get into the glass. Lots of questions. You're next.
Isn't it okay to crush? I can't say it.
Crushed. Yes, that's fine, you can do that. Aluminum? Yes. Who's next? Over here. Yeah. Well, you can't really make cups out of wood. They are looking at ways to find more recyclable plastic. So instead of a plastic cup, something like plastic container like this, which really isn't recyclable, they're looking to make more plastic out of number 1 and number 2 plastic, which has a little bit more value and can be more recyclable.
Helen probably knows. So you said do put the lids on things?
Do put the
Because
lids on.
Last time we were told not to put the lids on things because then they couldn't bundle it. So, but now we should.
You should, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even when they,
That was your question too?
when they bail it, it'll get crushed and the lids all kind of get popped out clean with it. So yeah, that's not an issue. Does anybody know how you determine what kind of plastic it is?
Can it tell you on like the bottom?
Right. Yep, there's a triangle on the bottom. We'll have either a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 on the bottom. You want to recycle what's a 1 or a 2. Everything else right now, it's not recyclable, which is really unfortunate because you got a lot of plastic and a lot of material that people think is recyclable and really isn't. Yes?
Can you recycle Cheerio boxes?
No. No. Yes?
Cheerio.
How come like we wouldn't like sort of make like other like garbage cans where we'd store like the other numbers that you can't recycle, because then like if you later like found out how to recycle it, then like you have all that stuff you can recycle.
Yeah, at some point you might be able to recycle it. That's a possibility. Yes?
How long would it take to stop all of the stuff that's starting to see?
It's an ongoing problem. I don't think that'll ever change, unfortunately, but there are people who are trying to clean it up. They're trying to do some things to address the issue right now.
Okay, you said no to Cheerio boxes,
Right.
but the stovetop box and the other elbow macaroni box up there are okay? So how do you tell which boxes are okay?
Actually, if the liner, the plastic liner is out, you know, that the
Yeah.
cereal, if that's out, then it's okay.
The cardboard
Yeah,
part's
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, I'm sorry if I confused you. All the cereal boxes have a plastic liner, you know, that holds
If
the
that's
cereal.
out, we're
If
good?
that's out, you're good, yes. Anybody else got a question? Yes. It's like plastic wrap, like saran wrap or plastic wrap, press and seal, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that also, correct, very good, yes. Right. Who's next? Back here.
Recycle tinfoil?
Yes, tinfoil can be recycled as long as it's clean. If it's dirty, then it cannot be recycled. Good question. Yeah. Yes, over here. You put it on the ground, it'll disappear. Under the ground? Yeah, you don't want to put it in the ground because you want to be able to recycle it. And they make other cardboard boxes out of the cardboard that we recycle. Right, it's a long, some of it will be in there for a long time, especially like the plastic and some of that stuff is in there for years and years. It doesn't really decompose at all.
Stay by your chair, please.
Yes.
Stay by your chair.
That's a story, not a question.
That's a good question.
Do you guys like brush up use with cars?
We do. We have a baler, and everything, all the recycling gets put into a baler and crushed into cubes that weigh anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 pounds. When we get enough bales to make a semi-load, enough to fill a semi-load, then we sell it to other recyclers who recycle. So we ship out probably 3 to 4 truckloads of cardboard every week out of our facility that we recycle. A couple truckloads of newspaper. We send a couple truckloads of plastic out every month, and aluminum we don't get as much. We probably send one out every other week, a load of aluminum cans. Yes?
Is the baler kind of like Wally? You mentioned that
And the cartoon, no.
Oh, yeah. Yes?
So unfortunately, you guys, one thing that came to my mind right away is all of our little juice cups. You look at the bottom, any idea what number's on them? It's a 6.
It's a six.
We have to throw all of our juice cups, correct?
Right.
In the garbage.
And the other unfortunate thing is a number 5, which is all of your like yogurt containers, your plastic butter tubs and lids. Those are number 5s, and we're really trying to find a way at our facility now to be able to recycle number 5s. We're looking at upgrading our sorting system and putting in more equipment and machinery so we can at least maybe pull the 5s out. Because the 5s do have some value, it's just that when it's lumped in with all the other 3 through 7 plastic, there's no value to it. So it's something we're looking at doing at our facility. I know some other facilities around the state are doing the same thing where they're going to try and pull out 5s. Because there are a lot of 5s, and there's a lot of beverage containers that are number 5s. And if we can pull that out, it would be a good thing for everybody, including people. Yes, Beck? It is a number 5. Yep, you're right. Correct. All those kind of like Cool Whip and those kind of containers like that are number 5s.
Okay, just because 4th grade is responsible for recycling, we will let the school know that we can't do the juice containers. And also, I'm seeing on the bottom, it says no ties or bags. So this bag that we have inside of here, this garbage bag, should not go in the recycling bin?
You can put it in the bin. It's going to end up in the garbage. But we don't want you to tie it because when it goes across our sorting line, they have to rip the bags apart. And a lot of times, not only that, you get a lot of garbage. People, on the residents, they'll put garbage in with the recycling. So you end up getting a mixture of garbage. So if you want to take it out to your recycling bin or your container, just dump it in. Or you can throw the whole bag in just so you can pull the bag out.
Okay, just don't tie it
Just don't tie it shut. Because it takes a lot of time to rip those bags open. And most of the time, there's a lot of non-recyclable garbage in it, so it ends up the whole thing ends up getting thrown out
And
with
then
it.
paper bags, those are recyclable?
Paper bags are recyclable, correct. Yep. Yes.
So can you explain the difference between the soda containers and like the elbow macaroni? I mean, they seem to be out of the same material to me, but they're not.
The elbow macaroni.
Or the stovetop stuffing and the soda box.
Oh, because of
This
It's wax?
this has got the wax on it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's the same thing with like the other soda, the beer, anything with this kind of waxy cardboard is not recyclable. Which,
Freezer boxes, yes. Any freezer boxes?
right, the raised bounty. The recycling industry is really pushing some of these manufacturers to get away from the waxy film that makes it non-recyclable because there's a lot of this that ends up going into the landfill that really doesn't need to if you just use regular, this thin cardboard is recyclable if it didn't have the wax film. Yes? Sure. Yeah, you can still do that. Yep. Yep. Yes?
I heard some talk that Walmart may be considering not using plastic bags. Have you heard anything along those lines?
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that are considering getting away from the plastic bags because it's a real difficult, it's an issue because what happens is it jams up our machines. We get so many of these plastic bags. We try to pull them out where we can, but it gets wrapped around our screens that separate all the material and it jams them up. So we'll have to shut down our sorting line probably a couple times a day just to clean out all the plastic bags that get wrapped around our screens and our material, our machinery. So it can be really difficult. And also, a lot of these plastic bags, they get dirty. They get, people put stuff in it and they get dirty. So unless it's really clean, even Walmart, they'll take them back if it's clean. But if they're dirty, it just contaminates all the clean bags. So it's really an issue. A lot of grocery stores are starting to encourage people to bring their own bags or to use paper bags. So at least the paper bags are recyclable and can go in your recycling bin. So. Yes. Yeah, you keep reusing them. And same thing with some of the plastic bags. You can try and reuse them. I'm trying to look to see if there were any other questions I didn't address on here. Oh, the if in doubt, throw it out. I know it's difficult because everybody wants to do the right thing and recyclable. But if you're not sure, you're better off throwing it in the garbage rather than maybe contaminating something that a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to recycle. So if you know it's recyclable, put it in recycling, and we want to recycle as much as possible. Our goal is to recycle everything we possibly can. Out at our facility on Highway 16 in Partyville, we recycle a lot more than just what you see here. We recycle tires and batteries and used oil and appliances and electronics. So we try to recycle whatever we can to keep it out of the landfill. Because a lot of this stuff is banned from the landfill, and you don't want to put things in the landfill that keep filling up our landfill. So it's really important we recycle whatever we possibly can. You can reuse paper and cardboard, There's reuses. You got a question in the back? Oh.
I see a lid, like it's a lid to a can, like maybe a cat food lid or something.
Yeah.
Those are recyclable?
Those are recyclable.
And what about when you open a can, that top lid is recyclable?
The lids are recyclable, yeah. But what happens a lot of times is those lids slip through our screens and they end up in our crushed glass. But a lot of them do get through and get into the tin, so they are recyclable. Good question. Yes.
Where do you put like when they go all those boxes from the semi, where do they go?
They go to different recyclers. Like our cardboard goes up to Green Bay. There's a lot of paper mills up there, so we ship our paper and our cardboard up to Green Bay. We send a lot of our plastic milk jugs we either go to Madison, there's a plastic recycling place, or in Michigan, and they actually ground it down into almost like fibers, and a lot of it's used in making carpeting. So there's different uses for the plastics.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Can you also do like the cans, like the dog food cans and stuff, like the cans and stuff?
Yeah, dog food cans are recyclable. Just make sure they're cleaned out. There's not still dog food in there, because a lot of times that can cause contamination. But it's a good question. Those are recyclable if they're rinsed out. Yes. Next.
Do you recycle like cat and dog food like in a bag?
The bags, a lot of them have like a plastic film inside, same thing. If that plastic film or liner is out, then it could be recycled. But a lot of people don't take the time to remove that. It's not worth it, so it ends up in the garbage. But if it's got the plastic lining, same thing like with the cereal boxes and that, it can be recycled. In the back.
How often do you get diapers, like baby diapers?
A lot. You'd be amazed how many dirty diapers come through every day. I don't know why people think diapers are recyclable, but we get all day, every day. We see diapers coming through our recycling store line. You'd be surprised. Yes.
Okay, so the pop boxes and like the pizza box are not recyclable. If we have a choice to use a burn barrel or send them to like the dump, which, is is it bad to burn them? I know like you wouldn't want to burn plastic.
You wouldn't want to burn plastic.
Right.
Burning something like that is not as big an issue as long as,
Well,
you
would
know,
that be better, you think, than putting it in the dump or degrades?
it's about equal, yeah, I would say. All right, anything else? Yes?
So is pressure being put on manufacturers to try to package their items in recyclable containers?
There is. It's a big issue. The whole recycling industry, and there's even a plastics council. They're trying to work with manufacturers because plastic, especially, is very frustrating because it's so hard to figure out what is recycling. They've made it really difficult by having 7 different kinds of plastic, and really a number 7 is anything else that's not included in 1 through 6. So it's any kind of plastic is just really difficult to determine what is and what isn't recyclable, and so much of it ends up still going into the garbage that a lot of plastic does not get recycled. So they're putting a lot of pressure on industries to use recyclable 1s and 2s and stuff that has some kind of value in the market that we can reuse, that we're not just shipping overseas and ends up in the ocean anyway. So, you know, it's a big issue right now, and there's been a lot of pressure. I think at some point there will be some changes, but it's like everything else, it takes time.
Does it really stink at the dump?
Yeah.
It's all the dirty diapers.
It does. There are some days when it really smells, especially in the hot summer days when it can be really bad. Some days you don't really want to be there, but yeah, it's just, yes, in the back.
Why can't you just use the same kind of plastic for everything?
That would make a lot of sense, but there are different types of plastic for different types of packaging, and they're trying to narrow that down so there's fewer types of
Just like
plastic.
one strong type of plastic.
Right.
Just like
Yeah.
and then just like one like plastic that you use for like doors and put your macaroni in a
Right, that would make a lot of sense to do something like that. Like I said, there are some plastics that are really valuable, like the milk jugs. We get a lot of money for milk jugs. There's just isn't a lot of that. There's only so much of that. But then something like a milk butter container, you know, you might get a penny a pound for it. I mean, we're basically we're not worth anything. Yes. What do aluminum cans look like? They're like a soda can, like a soda, something like that. That's an aluminum can. These used to be a lot more valuable. You used to be able to take these and recycle them and get 60, 70 cents a pound from. Now you get maybe 30, 35 cents. So the value of aluminum's really gone down over the last 2 years. Same thing with metals. Anything with metal in it we used to get a pretty high value. That's gone down. A lot of that has to do with China too. They're not taking as much of that material as they used to. Yes, a couple more questions.
I'm answering that. No.
Yeah.
Maybe we got one more question? Go ahead, you didn't ask it. Coffee containers? Yes. Coffee, either the plastic ones or the metal ones, they're all recyclable. In fact, I don't think I have one with me, but a plastic coffee container is the same type of plastic as what's in a detergent container. So that's actually really good plastic to recycle. Good. No, they're not. Unfortunately, but they're not recyclable. Right.
Oh, it's almost
I've been at Columbia County for 7 years, but I've been in the garbage and recycling business for 30 years, so I've been doing this a long time. Not enough.
I think we'll wrap that up.
Okay, we'll wrap up with that question.
Exactly. One other thing I want your recyclables too at your township dumps. Or you can bring them down behind Marcus and put them in the bins down there too. But just because you don't live in the village doesn't mean you can't recycle. They're all over the
Right,
place.
they're all over, right.
Yeah.
And if you're in the village of Rye, watch for your carts coming at the end of December, and you'll have a cart just for recycling. And we'll be delivering those sometime around Christmas time, and that'll start in January. We're going to be collecting.
And I wanted to say, you guys are all 9, 10, 11 years old. You guys are the ones who are going to be thinking in the future of ways to solve these problems. So have that kind of stuff going through your head. We would love to be able to recycle the number 5s and the other ones like
Right.
that. So if you can, like somebody back there said, let's make everything in the same kind of plastic. We need young minds thinking of different ways to solve this problem because it is a big one.
Exactly, good point. Well, thank you all, I appreciate your attention. And hope to see you recycling out there, thanks.